Hello, everyone, and welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast all about indie games. In this episode, we are talking about Edge of Allegoria, Entropy Survivors, and Rue Valley. My name is Chris.
And I am Joseph.
And be honest with me real quick.
Yes.
Why did you bring us another frog game? We just did Toads of the Bayou like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, what are you playing this week? And you're like, here's another frog. Here's this.
Actually, Chris, frogs and toads are different. So this is a completely different game.
They look the same.
It's coincidental. They do not look the same at all.
No, I just mean frogs and toads in general.
Oh, okay. I mean, one's a little warrior than the other, but
yeah,
sure.
I suppose so. Why don't you go ahead
you got
and
against frogs?
Hey, man, because they're harder to catch. I don't know. I caught a bunch of toads when I was a kid. I didn't catch any frogs. The frogs didn't like me, I guess. I don't know. Why don't we start with Entropy Survivors?
We starting there? Okay.
Yeah, let's start there. Let's shake things up because that's the last one in our notes. Nobody else.
I wasn't
can see
prepared
that.
for this. I know.
Yeah.
I was waiting. I was going to pace myself. All right.
Game start.
So Entropy Survivors released December 4th, 2024, developed by Moving Pieces Interactive, published by First Break Labs, at the price of $9.99, on sale right now for $8.99. What a deal. And for a description, Entropy Survivors is a bullet hell roguelike where you simultaneously control a powerful mech and a sharpshooting space frog, featuring outrageously creative abilities and powerful weapon customization. Save the universe in single player or 2 to 4 player co-op online. Yeah, explain a little bit more about this. You were comparing it to Risk of Rain 2 specifically, I see.
No. What I'm comparing to Risk of Rain 2 is the predecessor to this game, which is Shoulders of Giants. So this is set in the Shoulders of Giants universe, which is a thing now because this game is out. And Shoulders of Giants is more like an action roguelike that is more like Risk of Rain 2, which is why I brought it up. But it also has that frog character on the mech. So
really?
What was funny was before I even knew these were connected, I was like, oh, this reminds me of that one game because of this frog thing. And then come to find it's like, oh, this is because it was made with the same people. But yeah, so it's in the same universe, a lot of the same kind of items and enemies maybe that you'll see in the other one. I haven't really played the Shoulders of Giants. I have it. I actually purchased it when I was last with you. I intended for us both to play it because it's a multiplayer roguelike. But we just got so hooked into Dice Folk that we didn't have time to play anything else. Yeah. So I haven't played that one yet, but I just wanted to mention that connection. This is a standalone prequel, though, so you don't have to have any prior knowledge to play it. It's obviously a different kind of game entirely. It labels itself as a bullet hell, but it's really more of a bullet heaven-like, so Vampire Survivors-like, if you want to call it that, where you are the one who is just like equipping yourselves with all kind of crazy weapons that are just firing everywhere. You're dodging a ton of enemies, just trying to survive as long as you can. It's literally in the name, Entropy Survivors. You're playing as like a combo team. So the mech is kind of a sentient mech, and then you've got the space frog. So these aren't just one character. It's not the frog inside of a suit. It's like on this mech's shoulders. It's a whole thing.
So when it's like simultaneous, is it like, are you switching between them, or is it like different controls do different things per character?
That's a great question, Chris, because that's exactly what I was about to start talking about. So good
cool.
segue. So yes, you are controlling both characters at the same time, but unlike, most, at least previous survivor types or whatever you want to call them, bullet heavens, you can actually control when you attack on this one. You can switch it to auto attack if you want to, but it comes default as like left trigger is like the mech's moves, right trigger is the frog's attacks. And as you're leveling up, you're getting these different the weapons or abilities. This in the same way you would most games where you get like 3 cards in front of you. You have to choose which one you want to prioritize. And it'll specifically say on there whether it's like for your primary ability, for your mech ability, or for a frog ability. And I think you can get like 3 abilities on both sides of it. So like the mech starts with just a sword and then the frog starts with a gun, but it gets like crazy past all that, or it can. Like there's some basic weapons like, fireballs or things like that. But then there's also like a legion of garbage trucks that you can just summon and have run over your enemies.
I like that.
As you're powering or as you're like leveling up, you're getting things that can upgrade those weapons even. I don't know what the max level is. I think the highest I got a weapon to is like level 8. But every time you're doing that, it's making your weapon stronger, sometimes giving it new enhanced abilities. And in the case of like the garbage trucks, for example, I bring this up because it was one of my favorites that I was using. It'll start adding like more garbage trucks to the rally of trucks. And so they'll just kind of come out like periodically. You'll just see like a legion of trucks drive by, hit your enemies, and then keep going. And the more you level that up, the more trucks are coming out. So it's really like a fun mechanic. There's also like, what is the name of the game? I've already forgotten. Katamari Damacy. That's the one where you are like rolling things up and making it bigger. Yeah. So there's a ability that you can pick up, not one of the weapons or level up things, but there's like a power up ability you can grab that turns you into that ball, and then you're literally rolling around and it's like bringing all the enemies that you roll over with you, as long as you can kind of keep it going. It starts to get kind of like your timer starts to get like faster and faster as you roll over or as you like go. So it's like there's a point where it's just going to stop and explode. But as long as you can keep rolling over enemies, it'll last for quite a while. You can even bring bosses into that mix, and it'll kill most of the smaller enemies, of course. It won't kill bosses, but I think it does like a pretty significant amount of damage to even the bosses. But it's just like fun to watch yourself turn into a big ball and just start rolling around and like getting bigger as you bring more enemies into your mix.
This sounds like it really changes the gameplay style quite a bit depending on like the things that you like pick up and upgrade.
Yeah, 100%. And there's like I said, you can keep it pretty simple with like some basic weapons, but then there's like you've got some giant clapping hands and things like that. So it feels very like arcadey in a way, especially with how colorful it is, as opposed to a lot of survival games in general that are pretty they're kind of like a duller, less saturated, just so you can like see what's going on with everything. But this one is like bright everywhere. So it's a little hard to like look at it first because it's just so saturated. But you'll get used to it after a while. But that was tough for me to adjust to that just because I wasn't used to like so many colors on the screen at once. So not a complaint as much as just to get ready for that, or get your eyes ready for that, because it's going to take a little bit to adjust. You're doing like 20-minute runs is roughly how long they are. It'll have the timer at the top. Once that 20 minutes hits, I think that's when the boss comes out of the level. There are like elite enemies / bosses that come out periodically through the level as you're going through it. If you have multiple players, I think like with 2 players at least, I saw that like 2 bosses would come out at a time and so on. So I'm assuming as you increase the amount of players, that'll also increase the amount of enemies on the screen and bosses that are coming out. But once you beat the boss of the level, then that's when the level finally ends. It's not ended by the time, it's ended by you finishing a boss. So you don't get like immediately killed when the 20-minute mark hits or anything by death. That was just me playing. I think the demo gives you maybe the first and second level of the second stage. I think there's like 5 or 6 like planets or levels or whatever that have 5 or 6 stages within them. So there's plenty of like areas to go to. I don't know how much the gameplay varies between each of those levels. I really only did the one because the first couple runs I tried to do, I just got crushed because I was A, adjusting to those colors, and B, trying to figure out what all these moves did because it was just wild. But once I really locked into it, like it felt really good, and it was just really satisfying, like watching myself just run over all these enemies with a garbage truck or just roll over them. So a lot to unlock as far as I saw. You're unlocking things like new skins or classes for your character. You start as this paladin class whose special ability like gives you kind of a protective shield and heals allies around you if they're inside that little bubble. That's while that lasts. I saw that I didn't unlock any other classes. Actually, I did. I just don't remember what the other one was that I unlocked, but I think there were at least like, I want to say 9 classes. One of them was like a samurai or something. They all have different unlock like prerequisites, but it's not as mysterious as Vampire Survivors, where it's like, oh, you have to go to the bell tower and do this thing. It's just, it literally tells you like kill like 1,000 of these enemies or whatever. And so it'll be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, no like hidden message behind a mirror that you have to find. Yeah.
No, yeah, not that I saw at least. So
okay.
It seems like it's a pretty straightforward kind of unlock. That's why I say it feels more arcadey. It was kind of reminding me of like a Dreamcast game in a way. I mean, the game looks good and everything, but it just plays like a really kind of like fun and bombastic type of game.
Yeah, I know what you mean because I was watching a Let's Play of it earlier today so that I could get a little bit of a feel for it. And I would agree with that. Like, as far as like kind of, there's a little bit of like this element of like over the topness to it, where it's just like, it leans into what it is, or it's like, you know what, we're in space and this is a frog on a mech. Like, it doesn't need to make sense. It's going to be over the top. It's going to be ridiculous.
How serious do you need it to be?
Yeah, they make it ridiculous. And I think that that's what really adds a lot of fun to it from what I can see of it. And I think that's really cool because a lot of the bullet heaven games so far, aside from like Karate Survivors, most of them are so close to being like Vampire Survivors is, where it's a lot more of a gothic or fantasy or something kind of aspect to it. Seeing this as like a bright, goofy, just outrageous game is so much fun. It's just kind of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it is. It's got like a real Power Stone energy. If you are familiar with that game, that's a Dreamcast game too. That's why I bring it up. But like,
sure,
if you think Power Stone, like that's the kind of feel I get from this. But I don't know if it's like an in between kind of game because I'm not sure like if it's as content packed as Shoulders of Giants is. It may be, honestly, but if it's not, then this is just like something that they are kind of making as a game in between like whatever their next project is. But even so, like it is like a really fun experience. What I've had with it so far, even just the demo, I've had kind of a busy week, so I haven't really had time to buy it yet. But at $8.99, I think I can get it for like $8.09 since I already own Shoulders of Giants. But it's like an easy sell for me because visually it's like super vibrant, cartoonish, like alien stuff. Like you said, we're in space, explosions everywhere, really weird weapon designs and quirky animations, a fast-paced arcade-like soundtrack, and just really satisfying gameplay, at least from what I've experienced so far. I don't know how much harder it will get. I think the level I was on was either the easy or medium of that planet that I was visiting. But sure. I think it goes up to, that was like level 1 or 2 out of 5 of that. So it's not the hardest. I don't know how hard it's going to get, but even my first couple runs, like I said, were pretty abysmal because I just was not prepared for everything that was going on the screen.
Is the frog's name, is it Frog?
I don't know what his name is.
Okay.
But I hope it is.
I was like I was looking around and I'm like, I feel like his name's just Frog.
It might be. Like, I don't know that they really call it out. They might, but I just remember it as Frog and Mech. Yeah.
He's the frog with no name, you know?
Yeah.
I like
that. Yeah. So that's really like all I have to say about it because I didn't get to try the multiplayer or anything. And I only played the demo, so I don't know really how much there is to it. But it did show me all the options that I would have that were outside of the demo. It would just say like not included in demo. And there's just a ton of skins, like 9 different classes or something around that, and a lot of different levels. So I've seen that it's maybe like a 20-ish hour experience. So I think for the money and for just the craziness that is being offered here, then it's more than enough for the price you're paying.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
To answer whether this game is for you, you have to ask yourself,
me?
How do you feel about summoning a legion of garbage trucks to run down your foes? or summoning bumpers to pinball right over them? Or how do you feel about being part of the proud but few roll 'em up genre games like Katamari Damacy? And if the answer to any of those is, I don't know, pretty good, then I think this demo will definitely sell you on it.
I want all of those in real life. So yeah, I think that this is a game for me. So
yeah, well, I'm definitely going to pick it up. So it'll be in my library. And since we have the family share on, you'll play it.
Hey, then I get it by default. All right. But then I'll have to buy it so we could do multiplayer. So
oh, that's true.
Unless,
yeah, because it's not remote.
It's not going to be remote play.
What is it called? The Steam remote play. Yeah. It's got to be online co-op. So yeah, you got to buy it.
All right, you dang frog.
New game!
Our next game, we're going to talk about The Edge of Allegoria. This also releases, this has released December 4th, 2024. This was developed by Button Factory Games and published by Cobra Teku Games. What a cool name, Cobra Teku.
Cobra Teku.
Doesn't that sound like almost like a little handheld game from the 90s, like almost like a tiger sort of thing?
Yeah,
but like shaped like a
G.I.
cobra.
Joe themed. Yeah.
Cobra Teku. I don't know.
I'm into it.
Retails for $19.99, currently on sale as of recording this for $16.99. And for a description, The Edge of Allegoria is a retro-inspired 2D RPG blending turn-based combat with dark humor, self-deprecation, and quirky writing. The game draws heavily from classic Game Boy style visuals while modernizing gameplay with a rich, expansive world filled with monsters and magic. If you browse Steam or YouTube or TikTok or anything, just looking at any games, you've probably seen this advertised, and this is the adult Pokemon style game that has gotten a lot of marketing.
I brought it up a couple episodes ago, maybe the last episode. I know I mentioned it as like an upcoming thing. Yeah.
I believe you mentioned it last episode. So it does function a lot like Pokemon, except for one very glaring omission. It is turn-based combat with a very traditional RPG combat system of attack, flee, use item, things of that sort. You are facing animals and monsters and things, but you aren't collecting or capturing monsters or animals to help you. You're doing this yourself as just a dude. So you'll go up and you'll be punching a squirrel or, an owl or a raccoon, and you're just
a Canadian goose.
Canadian goose. You're killing these animals yourself with your bare hands, unless you get, you can get items and things like that. But that was what was really interesting to me, because that part I didn't realize until I started playing it, especially because when you start, you are making your character, you're naming your character, and you also are naming an animal companion that's a dog. And I'm like, oh, okay, this must be my starter or whatever. No, the dog's just there to if you fail in a fight and you pass out, essentially, the dog just drags you back to the closest town that you were just at the last time you saved. That's basically the dog's function. That's pretty much it. And the dog also blocks you from accessing points that you aren't supposed to access yet because of game story. So in Pokemon, it's Snorlax every once in a while would be blocking something. You gotta do a few things first. You gotta go get that.
You get the flute.
You gotta go get a flute. It's your dog and he's just sleeping, and it'll be you can pet him and it'll be oh, good dog. But then he'll go back to sleep and just block. And then it's basically just telling you, okay, not that way first. You got to go do some other stuff. Next time you come back, the dog will just be sitting next to it, and then you can move past it.
Ah, that's interesting. That's a cool mechanic. Adding the blockade as part of your party. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So it is interesting because you essentially don't have a functioning party that does combat or anything, or even provides buffs. It's all just you as your character, your avatar. It is extremely crude, raunchy humor as advertised. I will get into a little bit more of that as we go along, but Just I will say right away, this is absolutely not for kids in the slightest. There's some language, man. Anyway, so what you do is there's a lot of exploration, just like in a typical, like, I'm going to compare this to Pokemon a lot because this is essentially kind of a Pokemon parody, but there is a lot more to it.
I mean, if you even look at the combat at all, your first thought is going to be Pokemon because it's the exact same layout, except you're just a man fighting animals.
Just a man.
You've even got the status effects like BRN on there. Burn. It's just like Bryn
absolutely
sitting right by your level. So it's like it is almost identical to that style. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of status effects actually. There's like burn, bleed. There's like
we don't have a bleed in Pokemon.
Yeah, they don't have a bleed, but they have one in this. There's like madness, which is really interesting. And there's like several status effects. And it's not like there's like some games that I've experienced where it's just like, those status effects exist, but they like even Pokemon sometimes is an example where it's kind of like, even if that status effect gets applied to you, a lot of times you can just kind of power through it. Not so much in this one, man. If you get one applied to you, you really need something to like get yourself out of it, because a lot of those status effects cause something that stacks over time. So it like a burn or a bleed or something, that the damage is going to get worse every round. There's like stores and marts. Let me tell you something. The overworld, the gameplay, everything looks exactly like Pokemon. There's no getting around it. The marts look exactly like marts in the first Pokemon. The inns look exactly like the outside of the inns. It is 100% the same.
Well, yeah, it's even got the green tint from Game Boy.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing, man. I hope this doesn't go the route of Pal World and they get in trouble, but I think they're a little safer. You definitely got to go to the marts. You can stock up on all of the things to counter status effects right away, which is really nice. So like none of that stuff is like cut off. As long as you have the money to pay for it, you can do it. Like, and some of them are pretty interesting. Like to cure madness, it's an orange slice, which I thought was pretty funny. So there's a lot of stuff like that. One thing that I think is really unique, and I like this idea, is weapons and gear. So you can only have one weapon and one thing of gear equipped to you at one time, but you don't automatically like get the full benefit of those. You have to basically master those items, which means you equip them and then you go do a couple battles it's almost like attunement in a way, like to attune those to you. And so once that happens, you've mastered it. And then you can unequip those things and equip something else. The like attributes and stuff that you gain from those things stay on your character. Let's say you get a sword and this sword has an ability which is like, let's call it slash or something, or deadly swipe or something. If you master it and then you go and get a archer bow or something and equip that, even though you don't have that sword anymore, you still have that skill at the ready. So you can still use that even without the sword equipped, which I think is really interesting. And you can master, let's say, a pair of boots that gives you plus whatever agility. You master that agility stays to your character. You can go equip something else now, and that's basically how you keep adding stats and adding moves to your character.
Oh, that's really interesting. That reminds me of, at least initially, of the Final Fantasy Tactics job system, where you want to get as high up in a job class as you can so you can retain some of those abilities to carry over to another class.
Oh, interesting. I've never played it.
Oh, well, great game.
But I'm going to just say, oh, interesting. And, I'll humor you a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah. Then, so with that said, you also level up still as a character. So you still getting experience points, you level up. That will raise like your HP. And there's a few other things that will go up with that as well. So there's still there's a lot of stuff going on, honestly, within this game. So it's not just a straight up like Pokemon parody. there's some really interesting like systems within this that I think are really cool and really worth your time to experiment with and take a look at. And I did say like a lot of this game is exploration based. So there are 145 enemy types within the game. There's 31 dungeons. There's 41 bosses. While I played it, I ended up going through one dungeon. I beat 2 bosses. And one thing that is really interesting is when you beat a boss, there's like this thing that gets left behind that's called their essence. And to backtrack just a little bit, at the very beginning of the game, you were treated to like a cutscene kind of introing the world. And it's kind of showing you that there's this really interesting sort of eldritch god sort of thing involved in the creation of this world. And I'll even tell you like, hey man, this is some cool shit. And then it's like, and then humans arrive and they're not as cool and it's not really that interesting. But it like literally. And then as you kill these bosses and you examine their essence and stuff, you will get another cutscene, and those cutscenes will clue you into a little bit more lore of the world and what's going on within it. So a little bit more about that boss particularly, but also where they fit into the grand scheme of the world and what's kind of going on behind the scenes, aside from like you as this little kind of almost meaningless dude who's just kind of wandering around, you know, kicking squirrels in the teeth. You're kind of seeing like, oh, okay, this boss, this Goblin King made a pact with this like eldritch god, and that's why he was powerful and why this stuff was happening and why they were attacking this town. Then you're wondering, okay, so what else is going on with this eldritch god? Did he approach anyone else other than this Goblin King? So it keeps revealing things like that. And I think that that's a really interesting way to learn more about this world, and that I found very fascinating. And the cutscenes were really cool too, still animated within that old Game Boy-esque style with the green tint and everything. So that was really neat.
I mean, I'm sold on it just by the look. I know it just came out, so I haven't had time to pick it up or try it yet. But I'm assuming you enjoyed it?
I did. I really enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoy the story a lot. It's way more developed than I thought it was going to be, because I was expecting, like I said before, just straight up kind of parody of Pokemon. I mean, the gameplay, some of the gameplay is simple in a way because it does still do the, you know, typical JRPG style turn-based combat stuff. But because there's other aspects at play as far as like how you get different stats and different abilities and things like that, there's a lot of nuance that you can engage with. And I think that's really interesting. And the amount of status effects in this game and ability bonuses can really sway a battle. And I think that makes some of those battles a lot more dire than you would find in a Pokemon battle sometimes. However, I would say one caveat to that is because you can raise your stats the way you can by mastering those items, I do think you would be able to probably cheese your way through certain areas, because there was a few times where I felt like extremely overpowered in the area I was in, but then I would get to another area and I would be like barely scraping by for a couple levels. So,
yeah.
So there is that.
That sounds like something that's pretty typical to most like RPGs is if you want to or need to, then you can always grind yourself to a point where things in a certain area are trivial. So yeah. I'm hoping just as a normal pace, like it doesn't like get too easy too quickly without like having to grind or wanting to. I don't ever want to feel forced to grind, I guess is what I'm getting at. But if it's paced well enough to where I can get like a decent challenge all the way through, then cool.
The only part I experienced that I felt like it was a little grindy was because you can also do side quests where there's some characters that you can interact with in towns that you arrive to. And sometimes they'll be like, hey, could you please do this thing for me? Go find this thing. And this one person, he needed a heart from a goblin. So I was like, all right, cool. I went to the goblin area and I was killing goblins and just like I realized once I had gotten through the dungeon where they were, I never got a goblin heart. So then I was like roaming around for like 15 minutes or so, just fighting goblin after goblin, just waiting for a goblin heart to drop. And at that point, I was very overpowered for that area. So I was just one-shotting every single one of them until finally I got a stupid goblin heart. But when I got it, he gave me a weapon, like a new weapon that gave me a new ability. So that was great. So, I mean, it was still kind of worth it. But like, as far as like the grindiness, that was the only thing that I ran into so far.
Yeah, that makes sense though. Like things that just have a chance of dropping, you may kind of get stuck in a loop of just, I'm only going to get XP for the next 15 minutes trying to find this thing.
Yeah, and I was a little at first bummed out by that idea of like, oh man, I hope not all of them are like this. I took another side quest from someone at another town after that, and it was another like, you know, fetch quest kind of thing. Like, hey, I need essence off of this one creature. Please bring it to me. And I was like, oh man, okay. But when I got over there, like the first one I killed dropped it. So I was like, oh,
hey,
all right, that's much better.
It balances out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
nice.
better. Where I do get a little hung up on the game is just how over the top the language gets. So like, you know me, I don't shy away from language typically. I'm known to drop an F-bomb or 30 per conversation.
I know,
as you know,
when I used to edit our kid-friendly podcast.
I know, but there's this one town, and I'm sure there's other areas in it, you know, in the game for sure. And there's a lot of F-bombs throughout this whole game, just saying that. But there's like this one town that you go to early on, and there's even an NPC that warns you before you get in there that's kind of like, hey man, this is a rough place. And then he shoves a stick up his own ass. So there's like some meta commentary there, right? But you get in there and then you talk to a few people, and there's like this one woman you talk to in particular. Oh man, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for like where it was going. I'd recorded a Let's Play of this, and like some of the language that dropped, and I was like, doing my typical Let's Play of like reading it and stuff. I was like, oh man, I'm not comfortable uploading this to YouTube. I don't think I can do it. It might still make its way up to our Patreon for those that know us really well. But this is extremely adult content. So yeah, so I would say this. If stuff like that does not bother you and you want to have some good laughs while also feeling a sense of nostalgia and wonder at the same time, I would recommend this game. I think you'll really enjoy it. If you are sensitive to crude humor and mature themes, maybe set this one out or watch someone's Let's Play before you decide to invest it. And kids, not for you. Put it down. Don't get it out of your cart. No. Bad. I'm rolling up newspaper. Bad. Bad.
What's really funny, I mean, just the juxtaposition of these graphics with that kind of content, I think in and of itself is funny. But like one of the first like comments on the, not comments, but one of the first like details on the about this game on the Steam page is like, psst, hey kid, want to go on an adventure?
Oh no.
But it's definitely not for kids.
Definitely not. There's a lot of drug references. There's a lot of sexual references. Lots of very strong language. So,
I see some sexy harpies or something in there.
Oh yeah. So you've been warned. But I had a lot of fun with that. Honestly, man, I was laughing so hard through my play of it. So I had a great time. It's one that I do want to play more of for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to pick this up because I just have to have this experience. Crude humor and all. Will the YouTube video of it ever see the light of day? TBD. But I at least want to know that I've played it for my own personal, enjoyment.
Yeah, and I feel like this one would be a really good one for like Steam Deck or something. As long as it's compatible. I haven't checked that, but man, I feel like this is primed. I mean, because it is based off of a game that was, originally handheld. So I just feel like the best way to play this, I need this on my Steam Deck, and then I feel like I'm set.
Is it voiced at all? I assume not, right?
No.
Like, does it try to like emulate the sound as well of the Game Boy?
Yeah, it does sound a lot like the Game Boy kind of you just think about the types of noises and the types of music you would expect, you're going to get it.
Okay. Yeah. That with all these curse words, just thinking about that makes me laugh. So I'm excited to play this.
New game!
So let's move on to our last main topic of the episode. This is Rue Valley. The release date is to be determined sometime in 2025. Developed by Emotion Spark Studio, published by Owlcat Games. And again, because this hasn't had a definitive release date yet, we don't know the price yet, but this was sent to us by someone from the publisher Owlcat Games to take a look at, to play, and to get our opinions on, and we decided we wanted to bring it to the podcast. For a short description, Rue Valley is an isometric narrative RPG centered around a man trapped in a mysterious time loop filled with a colorful cast with complex emotional stories and mental challenges. I did not get to play it, but I had Joseph play it because Joseph does not like point-and-click adventures. So it might be... It might be evil that he's the only one that got to play it, but he played it and he recorded it for me so I could see how it goes.
And I played through the whole thing. Did you watch the video of it?
I did watch the full video.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
this is I want to also preface with, this is the alpha version of this game. So anything that, any opinions I have about it, like these things could change in the final release. Like, for instance, like the voice acting, some of it didn't feel like real complete to me, or like it was the actual line. Okay, so I feel like that's like the kind of alpha of the voice acting in some parts too. Some of it was like really spot on, but some of it was like, well, I don't know, that feels like a filler kind of thing.
And there's also the idea, and I'm not sure too, is that some of the voice acting for a couple characters, it sounded like maybe to us, because we're from the USA, we speak English. I think some of it sounded like there was some definite like European accent to it. So some of it did sound a little off to me, for sure. Not the best delivery for a few of them, but some of them were great. So yeah, you could be right. It might have been somebody, the developer or someone in there voicing some of the characters. I'm not entirely sure.
I'm not either, like I said, but I do remember it like saying before I even started the game, something about that not all assets are final, et cetera, et cetera. So just
got it.
FYI on that. Yeah. So this one, like, I don't play these kind of games. I don't know how much it compares to others like it, but you start by essentially like choosing your personality by balancing out certain things. Like, are you an anxious person? I don't remember the exact like stats that were on there, but it's like leaning whether you're more like outgoing or more of a introvert, things like that. There were a lot of like things to balance out. I tried to match like my personality as well as I could.
Tell.
Yeah. Because I spent a while on that. I really tried.
I know it took a long time, but I was very excited to see this personality system that you're basically creating your character and creating their personality. That was so cool to me. I love that. And especially because of like how much that plays into the gameplay itself. I think that's super cool because it either unlocks or limits a lot of stuff for you and gives you like a certain status. Like you, because of what you picked, were kind of paranoid and you had no motivation.
I was very anxious and very unmotivated. So it felt real. It felt right to me.
Yeah.
And just seeing that play into this world and how like natural it kind of felt, like it melded into it, felt really cool. Like it was like, okay, this is kind of me living this experience. And I think that's the idea. I would encourage you to match your personality to that, at least on your initial run of this, in order to kind of get a real feeling of like, how would you react to the situation? That's how I was treating it. Like, what would I say? What would I do? And like you were saying, there were some points where I was cut off from dialogue choices altogether, or some things like there's this poster I found that was like,
oh yeah, that poster.
At first I saw it as like, because like my character saw it as like a circus poster at first, And then because of my anxiety and my paranoia, I was like, wait, something doesn't feel right about this. So I kept inspecting it, and it gave me so many options to break this little poster down. And it turned out that it was like a landscape sort of poster about Rue Valley. So it had nothing to do with the circus, but like visually I was comparing it to like circus, like things like a crowd, like clowns or something. And it was just like seeing that being broken down. And I don't know if that comes into play in any part of the game at all, but it's a something I spent like almost 10 minutes on, was like breaking down this little poster. So that's how like detailed it got because of my character's anxiety. He was really fixated on that thing. And I was like, yeah, that feels like me.
Yeah, that was crazy. There's like a few things that I thought were really interesting. Especially like the one thing that I thought was really interesting is you start out kind of talking with your therapist in that room, and they're kind of like hinting, giving you that hint that something bad happened in your past, and you're meeting with this therapist at this, roadside motel thing, and the therapist has arranged for you to have a room there. So it's like, we don't know what's going on. There's obviously some real bad stuff going on, and it's affected, one, your memory, which like, I'm sure we'll get there and talk about the memory graph. But like the next person that you look like you could interact with, you walk out of the room with the therapist, and it's like the outside of this motel. And there's this woman just banging against this vending machine because it basically stole her money. And I'm thinking, oh, you'll be able to interact with her. But because of your specific personality traits that you did, you weren't able to talk to her. You were too anxious.
Right. I didn't want to bother her or something like that. That was the dialogue choice that not dialogue choice, but that was the option it gave me. It's just like, I can't, this person is obviously busy. Like, I don't want to bother them. Something to that effect. And that's just like a really interesting twist on things. But that's not to say because you're cut off from some things that's a limiting factor, because it also opens you up to other things. And that's what I found really compelling about it, is like my anxiety caused me to be very like perceptive of everything going on around me, because I was just so paranoid that I'm noticing all these small things, or my character is noticing all these small things or these tics that people have or something to that effect. And I thought that was like a really cool aspect of it. Because there's not really like a wrong way to build your character, I guess is what I want to really kind of emphasize, is like build it how you think you want to play the game, or how you want your character to be, because you'll have advantages or disadvantages no matter which way you go.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me that the gameplay can change so much based on these personality types that you set. And like, that just boggles my mind. And just from somebody that has 1 foot in mental health quite a bit, I'm like, this is kind of genius to have this in a game. I'll talk more about that later. You can keep talking about the gameplay mechanics, because there's more to get to.
Yeah. So the actions you take can give you status effects of sorts, or even like your personality can give you status effects. One I initially had before the time reset, before it Groundhog Day'd me back to the therapist office. One I had was like lack of motivation, or complete lack of motivation or something. And that prevented me from doing a lot of things, as it does in real life. And then like there are other temporary traits. Like I was looking around at this like garbage can or something, and then like I stepped in some water and I got on my socks, and I had like wet socks was one of my status effects.
Soggy sock.
Yeah, soggy sock, and I guess until like my reset. And so like those are a lot of things, even if they are seemingly small, will probably come into play in some fashion. I don't know that the soggy sock affected me, at least in the demo portion that I got to play of it, but I bet that would have come into play somewhere down the line had I kept it.
Right.
And you've got the memory graph where you're sort of piecing together your fragmented memory as you're unlocking them, as you're going through these. Basically, when your reset's about to happen, that takes you to your memory graph where you try to connect things that you've gone through in this run through. And it's got that loop structure to it. It's almost roguelike in a way. I say that really loosely, but in the sense that like the knowledge and skills you gained from one of your loops carries over into the next. That's why I was mentioning Groundhog Day, because it's basically like, yeah, I've started back to where I began the game, but I know everything that I picked up on my other like days that I spent here. So it's really piecing everything together based on the pieces that you're putting together during your days as you go through them. I think I got to do a total of 2 days. I think that's what the alpha kind of offered, but that gave me a pretty good like idea of what the system was going for.
The first time you did the mind map, you examined like a bunch of things. It's almost like a dream state, I guess, that your guy goes into, and it's like that dark screen, and then you see these little pinpoints that you can click on, and you are basically thinking about a certain event or thing or idea or person, and sometimes just thinking of it, sometimes dwelling on it a little bit, and then it like connects some of those, and then sometimes some of those connections will form something new in the middle of it. And you can try to understand that connection more, and you might fail at it because you didn't connect the first one.
The first one, it feels like a dice roll. You don't see the dice roll, but you can kind of like sense it because it turns red if you fail it, but it'll turn green because I did pass my second one. I don't know what drives up the chance of like failure or success on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it is randomized in some way. I'm sure there's a way that you can like enhance your chance to pass these things. But with the time that I had with it, I didn't really get to see that pan out.
And how that really affected the game and the gameplay is that second time when you got into the mind thing and you got more memories, you found a connection, you were able to connect it, dive deeper into what that connection was, and then your character felt more motivated. So then when you started that next day, that status effect that you had for so long of no motivation.
My lack of motivation. Yeah,
it was gone. So now you were able to do more things that you couldn't do before. So it's like, even though, you're like looping, you're groundhog daying it, you're groundhogging it, you can, like, things won't necessarily be the same. Like, you can do different things. And also some of the events still changed. Like the guy who wrecked the car, it happened the first night, but it didn't happen the second night. And like, that's one of the things that your dude was trying to figure out too.
Yeah. If I remember right, it seems like it did happen. I just had missed it on the second night, because I remember when I went down there, I found like a piece of his car or something.
He found I forgot about that. He found the brake light shards.
So it's like that still happened. So that confirmed that it was like actually a recurring thing.
That's right.
But I had just missed it that time around because I think I woke up later or something.
But it's basically like he can change things in the next loop based on changing his status effects, how he grows as a person, like, losing that lack of motivation and then feeling like, hey man, I can do something. Then he goes and investigates something more. I think that's really cool. I love that idea.
And I think as you're also going through this, you are kind of, quote unquote, leveling up to where you're able to kind of balance out your abilities more. Because at the beginning, you kind of have to put yourself like so many points on one side, so many points on the other. So you are just imbalanced to begin with. So part of this growth, this character growth, is finding more balance in your personality, which I'm sure will help you unlock more options and more of this mystery.
Yeah.
So with my experience with it, like as I've mentioned countless times on this show, or if you're a new listener, point and click games just aren't my thing, like just flat out. But with that said, while I don't think this game changed my mind about the genre in general, I absolutely see the appeal for fans. Even I was getting into it as I was going through it, because like the art style, The atmosphere and the storytelling were just exceptional. The art style is kind of like comic book-esque. It's got a real like interesting style to it. Like visually, I could look at this thing like all day. It's gorgeous. I loved how the character building at the start influences every decision and makes all your choices feel meaningful. And that Groundhog Day style mystery adds a layer of intrigue that really kept me curious throughout. And while I probably won't go back to this myself, since I don't have the patience or attention span or like my character in this game and the motivation to do it, I am confident that you, Chris, will go back. So I look forward to hearing how your playthrough goes and watching a video of that.
Yeah, this is one I definitely want to get my hands on when it comes out. As someone who loves mystery games, but also someone that loves psychology. For those of you that don't know us super well, because we've only been doing this podcast for a little while, but we've been doing other stuff for like almost a decade. So some people might know us from all the other things we used to do. My wife is a therapist. Her and I used to co-host a mental health podcast several years ago too. With like all of that, this stuff all centered around things like personality traits and mental health and how all those things can affect your actions within the game. That shit is super interesting to me, and it connects a lot of my passions that are typically completely outside of gaming. So I got super excited like right away when I saw you diving into just that first part, just the little personality trait thing. And I was immediately like, my brain was going through, oh my God, it's like MBTI or DISC or HBDI. And like, I was just like, this is great. I love this. So I got really excited for it. I having not played the game myself and having watched you do it, I would say like the pacing seems really slow, but it's because there's a lot to read because you can interact with so many things. There's a lot of dialogue and other things to read through, to examine. So it definitely seems like a very chill, contemplative game. You know, it's not going to be a game full of action or anything like that. But if it's one that you're into to like sit back, relax, get invested in the story, and maybe like, you know, let your mind kind of work a little bit and, you know, get introspective on, you know, what mental health means and what the mind does to a person. This just seems like such a cool game. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one.
I'll say that, okay, I haven't played this other game either, so I'm comparing it only based off what I had heard about this one. If you've played and liked Disco Elysium, then this is going to be your kind of jam too. Even visually, it's very similar to Disco Elysium.
Also, I would probably compare this one to 12 Minutes also because of the time loop situation. Either of those games are games that you're into. Wishlist this one and stay on the alert for when it comes out.
Combo!
As far as other games we've been playing, the only other one I really played this week was Antonblast. This is one that you brought up like a long time ago during one of the like Steam Fest, that was the Next Fest or something.
It was one of the games I played during Steam Next Fest. Yep.
And I 100% forgot anything you said about it. And I didn't go back and listen to our own episode because that would be really lame of me. So I'm going to just pretend that you didn't talk about it at all. It's a very Wario Land-esque game. Super fast-paced action platformer where you're barreling through objects, destroying everything in sight while you're dodging obstacles, taking out enemies, navigating through these very puzzle-like levels, using spring pads, using dumpsters. It was really fun. I had a good time with it. I did want to say there's one thing that did bug me in it though, which is the like spring pads. So it's like when you're going through a level, you've got like a foreground level and there's a background level. So you'll like do so much in the foreground, you get to a spring pad, you'll spring to a background level and you're doing stuff like in the distance until you complete whatever you need to. And then you find another little springboard and spring back to the foreground level. That in itself, super cool. gameplay mechanic. I think that's awesome. What I didn't like about it, though, was how you use the spring pad. And I don't know if like you remember this or if you had a similar experience, but it's like you're barreling through these levels like at a really fast pace, right? But when I get to the spring pads almost every time, it feels like my momentum just kind of grinds to a halt to be able to use those things correctly to get, over to the other side. And I just felt like maybe there had to be a better way to do that to keep the momentum up, but that could just be like a me thing, like a skill thing. Maybe other people were doing it faster.
Maybe the first time I experienced it, I was like kind of weirded out by it, but once you get used to it, like it just kind of flows with the rest of things. For me anyway. I didn't really have a problem with it.
All right, it's a me thing then, probably. It's just like, for me, it just wasn't flowing well where everything else felt like it flowed extremely well. So, but I mean, overall, had a really good time with it. It's out now. Get it or wishlist it. Do something.
Yeah, that's one. If you like Pizza Tower, you're gonna like this game.
Yeah.
As for me, I played about 3 games. Most of my time was spent on one game, which I'll talk about last. But the rest of it, I played the last Humblebee, which I had mentioned that I picked up. That's the one where you're the cartoony, like, it's a bullet heaven game where you play as like a warrior bee, a swashbuckling warrior bee, slashing through demonic bugs, casting bumblebee magic is what they call it.
Love
and
that.
Exploring this pixelated open world to uncover the fate of the bumblebees, which involves like breaching the gates of hell. And so it's like, as light of a game as it looks like, there's like kind of a serious undertone to it, but then that undertone is even played for laughs a little bit. So it's not a super serious game, even with that kind of wrapping. It is like a compact, desaturated pixel art experience. It took me around 30 to 40 minutes to beat outright on my first try. But just like with many roguelikes, I know there's more to uncover after my initial run. And there's a skill system that I don't know exactly how it works. I didn't go for a second run of it, but it seems like there's a deck building mechanic to it where once you collect these skills, you can kind of like arrange them as you want to for your next run, which is a pretty unique system from that's different from a lot of these. And the controls are pretty responsive. It's like you're bouncing and moving around. That adds a cool layer of variety to the movement. And overall, it's just like a really fun, casual experience. So perfect for quick gaming sessions. And I think it was like $5. So yeah, definitely worth the money.
It's interesting how many bullet heavens you've gotten into all of a sudden. Like, that's just been your thing for the last like several months.
I've really been kind of experimenting with a lot of different versions of it. So I kind of know what I like about them and what I don't now. So that's been helpful for me. Vampire Survivors obviously helped me get into that genre and started it.
Are you going to get back on the hate Vampire Survivors train again? Because you keep
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, that's what got me started on that train.
Sure.
And now, like, so the rest of these are kind of like me experimenting with others to see how they differentiate, what they do better, where they could improve against that as the baseline. That's what I'm saying.
You're in your experimental phase, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through it.
Some of us later than others.
So the next game I played was River City Girls 2, the Double Dragon DLC, because that just came out this past week. It introduces exciting additions, including like the actual Double Dragons, Billy and Jimmy Lee, as playable characters. These are voiced by Aaron Hansen and Dan Avidan of the Game Grumps. I know we mentioned that in a past episode.
Yeah.
So now that it finally came out, I wanted to pick it up and actually like play it. But since this was my first time diving into the sequel, I felt like I should probably stick with one of the actual like original River City Girls. So I stuck with Kyoko, the redheaded one, for my initial playthrough. So I didn't really get to touch on the Double Dragon stuff yet, but I'm also very early in the game. So there's been like spots that I've noticed, little additions from the Double Dragon DLC, but nothing that I've really been able to directly interact with to give like a full review or comment on. But as for the game itself, it's still got like that fun, lighthearted charm of the original one. So if you enjoyed the first installment as much as we did, like you're not likely to be disappointed with this follow-up.
Yeah, I figured it's just only going to get better. So yeah, I'm excited for that too.
Yeah, one of the moves. So it's interesting and different from a lot of beat 'em ups in that you're kind of like leveling up and unlocking moves as you're going through. And
interesting.
One that I just randomly got was like dabbing. And what it is, it's like, Kyoko will literally just do a dab and then it'll like have a flash like next to her. And any enemy that she hits with that will just get like thrown across the screen. It's really funny. I found myself using that dab all the time because it was so helpful to get me distance from some of those enemies.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, that's the kind of like
that.
weird, fun like style this game has.
Yeah, I love the art of this game specifically.
Oh yeah,
it's one of my favorite parts.
So good.
It's
love
so
that art
awesome.
style.
This is like one of those games that I'm like, I need more with it, like of the world. Like I need more media from this. Like I need comic books or manga or an anime, or I need something from this because it's so good.
Yeah, I want them to just branch out of like the beat 'em ups and do something like make a River City's like Souls like River City Girls Souls like make a River City Girls survival game. Now that we've been on those for a while, like they can do so much with this franchise, and I really hope they do.
I'd take a JRPG of this too. Like that would be great.
Oh, 100%. The last game I want to talk about, or that I played, was Nine Souls, which I talked about in depth last week. I just want to mention it now because I finally finished it, and I was the whole time completely engrossed in the story and thoroughly enjoyed the parry-based combat, as I mentioned. I love that kind of stuff, and it felt so good and so responsive. And I really, I think I nearly 100%ed it unintentionally because of the Metroidvania style. Yeah, because the Metroidvania style backtracking is so enticing that it was hard for me not to try to explore every nook and cranny. It's like once you got this certain thing, you would see that I missed one item over here. Oh, it's just one thing. I got to go back for that. And it would just keep doing that to me, where it's like revealing like just a little bit that I missed in the prior area. So there's a lot of me just scrounging around for things like that. I do plan on going back after beating it and aiming for the true ending, now that I've discovered there is another ending, which interestingly seems to be less combat challenging than the one that I did. But it's supposed to be like the quote unquote good ending that is the real one that involves you doing a little bit more of the quest kind of stuff, which I did since I almost 100%ed it just by accident. The only thing holding me back was like this one thing that I went back and did anyway. And so now I just have to, I think, finish the game again. It'll probably take me to the true one. So I'll probably go back and see that, since I can just like restore from a previous save point to get there. And overall, Nine Souls is an incredible game with a really like gripping narrative. And it's definitely one of the like indie games of the year contenders for me personally.
That's great. Yeah, I watched some Let's Plays of it today too, because I got really absorbed in the idea of the story after you talked about it. So if I don't end up playing it, I'm gonna end up watching a full Let's Play so I can see the entire game in its entirety, which is me saying entire a lot because I just did it like multiple times.
Overall, the game took me about 22 hours, I think, which is short for a Souls-like game, and that was me kind of getting everything just about. So I really think that if you were running through it, you could probably finish in 18 to 20 pretty easily, but it's still like, it feels solid enough. Like, oh, I had a good, like fulfilling experience here. Like it doesn't feel too short or anything like that. Like you're gonna be happy with the time you spent with it.
That's great.
And I did record all of my gameplay of it, so I can just you can just watch my playthrough if you want.
Yeah. Okay, do it. We'll do it.
Final round.
As far as upgaming titles on our radar.
Wait, what'd you say? Upgaming titles?
I don't know. It's been a long day. As far as upcoming titles on our radar, I got two. I want to tell you about two. And both of these two are your favorite types, Joseph. The first one is called On Your Tail. This releases December 16th of 2024. This is a really cute detective mystery and life sim where you are exploring this town, you're meeting locals, you're searching for clues and solving mysteries. And what's interesting about this, so it's like, it's all anthropomorphic characters. It's mainly 3D, but it also utilizes other art styles as well. Like there's a section that's like very Paper Mario-esque. It also uses some 2D art and illustration in addition. Like when you talk to folks in certain areas, like it'll do the like illustration pop up on the screen, almost like that visual novel style kind of thing. You know, it's a investigative game, but it just feels real fun and charming, real homey. It's like, I think supposed to be set in kind of like a Italian city on the coast. I don't know if it's supposed to be an actual city, probably not, because I don't know of any that have animals walking around everywhere as people. But it feels like a fun, cozy little investigative game. So I'm very excited for that one. It sounds up my alley. The second one I wanted to talk about is The Midnight Crimes, coming out on December 20th, 2024. This is a gritty looking point and click adventure mystery game where you play as a detective searching for a missing child in this very dark steampunk Victorian kind of city. But it's like a Sandbox style world where you aren't just like siloed into, you know, just going through the narrative, going through the story. There's lots of side quests. There's character relationships that you are available that you can manage. The visual style is what caught my attention first, that got me to look into this game farther and see what it's about. The visual style reminds me a lot of like the Telltale games, especially like Telltale Walking Dead. So if
I could see that.
Yeah, you like that art style, man, check this out. If you like steampunk, or if you like mystery games, especially this one looks like it's going to be a very dark story. This looks super, super cool. So definitely check out The Midnight Crimes. Put both of these on your wish list.
Okay.
Do it.
No, I definitely won't be. No, they're point and click, both of them, I think.
The first one has more like kinetic stuff to it. Like you can cook some food if you want. You can, you know, where you flick the pan and have the food bounce around in it. You know?
I don't know, man. I'm not
sold on it. I think you can go mini golfing in it if you want.
Hey, you know what? I would do that. That sounds fun.
You love mini golf. Me and you both, man. Those are some of the best games.
Mini golf games are so fun.
Yeah, listen, everyone. Mini golf games are some of the best games out there, and I won't let anyone tell me otherwise.
Except that one. That one was infuriating. I don't remember the name of it.
It was Golf It.
Okay. Yeah, there was one that was like really good that we had played one week, and then we played this one that other week, and we were like, how do we even play this? It was so hard.
Golf with Your Friends, I think, is the one that we played, I think, exhaustively. I think we played that so much, and then we tried Golf It, and we were like, this sucks.
Yeah, so, that makes sense.
Sorry, Golf It.
But you're welcome, Golf with Your Friends.
Sorry, Golf It, devs.
So as far as like a game that I want to recommend, an upcoming game, there's so many that are coming out, but at the end of December, a lot of it's kind of just early access stuff, which I don't normally call out because I don't really play many early access games myself. But this one caught my attention, and it is Dustgrave, a Sandbox RPG. That's the full title. Ooh. The early access came out on December 5th, so the day we're recording this, actually. It invites players to shape their own destiny in a crumbling empire torn apart by plague, unrest, and faction warfare. It's set in a dynamic, ever-changing world where your actions and choices define your journey, shaping relationships, factions, and the overall narrative. So what I like about this is, it's in the title, the sandbox aspect of it, because that kind of gameplay is really enticing to me, where it's like, I don't have to do anything. I can kind of like do whatever I want, and that will still change what's happening in the game. That's what I enjoyed about like No Man's Sky and things like that. Yeah. It's just like, you kind of just do whatever you want, make your own character's like journey. And that's what this one seems to really have going for it. And everything you do, every action you take, like no matter how good or bad, I'm going to compare it to like Telltale also, where it's like, instead of, Mr. Toad will remember this, it's going to be like everyone, the world will remember this. Like every action you take shapes the world that you're in, whether for better or for worse. And it's got this immersive role-playing aspect to it where you fully customize your character and set your own unique path based on whatever actions you want to take. Your choices impact the way that other characters treat you, the way that other factions treat you, whether you join a faction or not. You can experiment with like different kind of skills and item combos. You can be just like an assassin. You can steal, you can pickpocket your way through quest with the stealth system. Like, it seems like this game has a lot of customization to the way that you play the game. And that's what I really want to point out as like an interesting aspect of it to me. While I don't normally play early access games, this is one that I will give a shot just to see how it feels. Even if I just play it for a little while so that I can know to keep it on my wish list for when it actually comes out as a full release.
Yeah, this sounds awesome. Like, I might have to wish list this too, because I love the idea of this. Can you imagine a gameplay system like that in a game like Baldur's Gate or something, where like you do that and instead of you following the narrative follows you? That would be crazy.
That's exactly what I want from a game, because that's how I wish, or I guess that's how I like imagined MMOs would be before I played an MMO and saw how like just like, you know, on rails they are for you to do a certain thing.
Yeah.
But I know there's some games that have tried things like this, or some games that are currently doing this. So I just can't name any off the top of my head, and maybe some that are even doing it very well. But just the whole idea of it is enticing to me, to kind of create your character the way that you want to and live in this world as him, or journey through this world as him in whatever way you want to. That sort of customization, that deep customization in a sandbox world is very enticing to me.
You want to be isekai'd is what you want.
Yeah. Or resurrect me as a slime, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, man. Or a vending machine.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be fun. Unless I'm the vending machine in Rue Valley that's getting kicked by that lady.
Yeah, that would suck. You know what wouldn't suck, though, is if you guys shared this episode. So do us a favor. Share this episode with someone who loves indie games. I would say you can catch me playing some of the games we talked about on the show over at our YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsloth. But like I said, I didn't feel comfortable posting that one on our YouTube. So that one is going to be included in the hundreds of hours of bonus content, including a special bonus podcast for those at the $5 tier over at the Nerdsloth Treehouse, which you can join by subscribing at patreon.com/nerdsloth. But at the just $1 tier, you still get access to hundreds and hundreds of hours of content, where most likely my playthrough of Edge of Allegoria will be hanging out, because I feel more comfortable with it going up for the people that know us better, and that someone won't stumble across us for the very first time and see me dropping like 50 F-bombs and maybe worse as I'm reading this game dialogue. So yeah, let's avoid that. You can also join our subreddit, where we post reviews for indie games so more folks can find more indie games. And follow us on those social medias too. I'm trying to be really active on Blue Sky. I'm doing my best, man. I'm really bad at social media, but I'm trying.
I keep forgetting that exists until you mention it on the episodes. I'm like, oh yeah, Blue Sky's a thing.
Blue Sky. It's better than X. I'll just say that. Better
so
than
I've heard.
The social media and the drug. So.
Oh.
Hey.
High praise. High praise.
High praise.
Game over.
That's game over for us. My name's Chris.
Oh, and I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode. Beep boop.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth. For additional podcasts, go to nerdsloth.com. If you'd like to support the show, there are multiple tiers available at patreon.com/nerdsloth, with hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything we do at Nerdsloth Creative, including bonus gameplay videos of the games we talk about on the show. The theme music for the show is Retro Game Tapes by Audio Lime. If you'd like to get in touch with us, or if you're an indie game developer and would like us to consider reviewing your game, send us an email to podcasts@nerdsloth.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade.